thread chasing is zen. So this next video is going to be zen. Hello, welcome. We're going to make a video about thread chasing, and we're going to make a acorn box with a threaded lid. I think they're cute. This is brown American walnut, and this is holly. It's two types of wood that you can chase threads in. Not every wood is sufficient for doing thread chasing. And we're going to start by putting it in a chuck. There was already a tenon on it, so that's good. Make it round and hollow it and make a thread on it. There we go. This round. That's where we're going to make the thread. And we need a next thing to do to make a thread is to make a groove at the end of the thread so that you have a relief to get your chaser out. And we'll show you in a minute. So, to chase threads, you need thread chasers. This one is for the outside, this one is for the inside. And if they fit, they have to fit together perfectly. If not, well, you have your first problem. One thing to keep in mind is you often see thread chasers where the first tooth here, this one, is only a half tooth. Some people say it should be a half tooth, but I think it is much easier if there's a complete tooth over here. So keep that in mind. We'll start with the outside with this one. If you turn at normal speeds, this is approximately, it runs at 1200 RPMs now. And if you want to do thread chasing, the speed has to come down. And if you want to thread chase, use every time the same speed. Therefore, I have made a switch on my control box over here, and pressing that switch on number 2, suddenly it runs at 280 RPMs. And that is always my thread chasing speed. And now we go for the zen part. It is the chasing itself. First, I have to go in a sort of flow 21, 21, 21. And all of a sudden I touch wood. There's one scratch, and that one scratch now is important. That one scratch is gonna guide all the next scratches. If I have made this scratch properly, the thread chaser will fall into that scratch and move slowly across the wood. Let's see if that happens. So I'm not moving my chaser forwards, it's happening just automatically. Now I have to make these cuts deeper. If I'm feeding my chaser like this, nothing happens. If I'm lifting the handle, it starts scraping the wood, like this. And the more I lift, the more aggressive it scrapes. And now I simply continue to do this. I think this one needs a little bit of sharpening. Sharpening these is easy. Take a diamond file, press it on the bevel, because you can't, of course, do all the teeth individual. You have to do it on top. And there we go again. You see, it is not completely running smooth, but well, I'm not an expert on this. And what you also see is that there starts a little bit of the wood starts to break out over here. So to prevent that from happening, we put a few drops of oil on the wood to soak in the wood, to lubricate my cut, so to say. And there we go again. And the thread is ready if I see little triangles. So no flat spot on the top, but pointy threads next to each other. So this thread is ready. And now we can go back to full speed, because we're going to hollow it. Because it has to be hollowed, otherwise it wouldn't be a box. Of course. And this hollowing we do upside down. One more pass. Sand it a little bit. So this thread is ready. It's a bit long. You have to screw it quite a long time before it's tightened to the lid. So we make it a little bit shorter. Then you probably say, why don't you do that thread straight away? well, you need some length of your thread to make a smooth thread, to have your chaser make a nice cut and make a nice thread. You need a bit of length. And now we have that thread, it's time to shorten it. Make a little chamfer on the inside and also on the outside. Bit of sanding again. And while we're here, we can just as well put a bit of oil on it. It makes this brown American walnut immediately look great. Okay, this piece is as far as we go with it. Turn back, we come back later there. Take off this one and we'll go start with the inside of the lid. And before we do that, we first have to we need a tenon on this piece to hold it properly, and it's got to be round, of course. There we go. That's the tenon. Back to the chuck. It's kind of windy outside.
Yeah. Spooky.
And now it is time to make the inside of the lid. It starts, of course, with making a bit flat surface on here. Still not flat. Time for some measurements. Outside thread 45.5 millimeter. The inside of the thread over here, of course, is smaller, and as we're using a 16 TPI thread chaser over here, so that means 16 teeth per inch, so there's 16 tops on every inch, and a 16 has a thread depth of approximately 1.5 millimeter, 1.6 I believe. So that is the inside of this hole should be 1.6 millimeter smaller than the outside. Let's start by making that 2 millimeters smaller. 43.5. I can make my hole quite a bit wider. It's a little job, but it's got to be done very precisely. It's a little scraper. It's what I call a box scraper. The angle over here is just under 90 degrees. I took away some material over here so that it doesn't push against the wall, and it scrapes on the tip of the tool. There we go. So, measuring again, 40.05. It has to be 1 millimeter wider, so I take a half a millimeter off on this side. And at the same time make the bottom a bit smoother. So we should have the right diameter now. Time to make this relief cut that we also made on the outside thread of the walnut part. We need the same here, of course. And what I do have to check first if it is parallel to the bedways, but perfect. Relief cutter. It's quite a simple tool actually, the relief cutter. And you can make it from any old piece of scrap steel. You just need a little hook that will make you this little groove over there. These thread chasers, by the way, are made by my friend Jan Hovens. There's nobody in the world, well, in Europe, knowing more about thread chasing than he does. We're going to the inside. This is the thread chaser for the inside. There we go. Start with the chamfer. Thread chasing speed. The thread we made on the other part was a thread with one entrance. But you can also, if I go in too fast with this chaser, I can make 2 or 4 entrances. To check that, if I have one entrance or more entrances, I use my pencil and make a line in the thread. And if my pencil skips one of the grooves, then I have 2 entrances, but it doesn't, so it's okay. Maybe at the same time we can fit again, it probably won't look as way too tight still. So I have to move, I have to make a couple of more grooves, cuts, scrapes, put some oil to lubricate the whole thing. There we go again. Try again.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, it fits, but it is still too tight. Because if I put it in my living room, probably, and there is more dry over there, it will probably warp a little bit and then I can't get it open again. I have to be careful, of course, because if I don't, if I hit the bottom with my scraper, with my thread chaser, and I stay there, the whole thread is gone. I screw up, so to say. I think we're about there.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So if you think thread chasing is going to be my thing, buy a small set. Not the big set like this one, like this one. This is 16 TPI. It's way much more easier to start with than, for instance, this one. This one is 3.5 millimeter. It's quite difficult to get this first scratch on your wood to be perfect. So if you think about starting it, use 16 TPI. Back to high speed. I could, of course, use my roughing gouge to do this, but why not just enjoy every small cut? And try to make this cut perfect so that there's already a little bit of glance, shine on the acorn. So let's check how much we have left. Oh, that's enough room for a smooth last cut. Cool. Well, I'm putting away my gouge now, but I might just as well continue with the cap. cool. So before I continue with this little branch that is on top, I want to sand this. Sand the lid. It was a nice cut, so I only need the finest grit. And it shouldn't, there's still brown on it from the walnut. It's a pity, of course. Now I can part it off. So we can leave it like this, of course, but then we just might as well take the acorn out and put your morning egg in it. So, but that wasn't our first intention. Let's make it like this. That's it?
Nice. Very cute.
Yeah, isn't it cute? So if you think now, oh, maybe I should start thread chasing, do so. It's a calmer, really. If you're stressed in life, start thread chasing. It works. At least most of the time. If you, never mind, it works, it works. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.